Hello, welcome to The Conversation on News Central Television. This is a program where we bring you up to speed with all the political happenings in the African continent, and we also bring you analysis of these issues. I am Gbenga Aborowa.
And I am Rita Omodia. Welcome to a new week on The Conversation. And Equatorial Guinea had the elections yesterday, which was Sunday, of which older 7 leader, that is Chidera Obiang, was contesting along 2 other people. Now, today on The Conversation, they say that sometimes a man's biggest enemies are those from within. That explains the current situation with Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of Nigeria's main opposition party, that is the People's Democratic Party, PDP. 5 governors of the party, known as G5 governors, met over the weekend to form what they called an integrity group for the deepening the division within the party ahead of the 2023 elections.
And also on the program today, we will be discussing the agreement reached at the COP27 Climate Summit in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, for the establishment of a historic loss and damage fund for vulnerable nations. So, interesting weekend. COP27 is over. They described it as Africa's COP. What does Africa stand to gain from that? We would get into the details later. And you mentioned Equatorial Guinea, 43 years in office, 80 years old, going for 6th term. We're not supposed to do this, but I can tell you that the results of the elections are a foregone conclusion, and Mr. Obiang will be returning as president.
I mean, even for the other opposition candidates, there's really nothing to say about them. Everybody's just about Chidera Obiang. And of course, the son who is the vice president succeeding him. I don't know how it's going to pan out for Equatorial Guinea. I mean, having an 80-year-old president who will run for 6 years at 86 years old. I mean, the man must have quite a lot of faith in his age.
Yeah, and then he's been there for 43 years. So I wonder, the people of Equatorial Guinea must love him so much. But let's get to our main discussion of the day. Our focus will start off in Nigeria, where the internal crisis rocking Nigeria's main opposition, People's Democratic Party, seems to be far from over. Perhaps one of the toughest opposition the party's presidential flag bearer, Atiku, has is the 5 governors elected on the platform of the PDP, referred to as the G5 governors. The governors have been clamoring for the resignation of the PDP National Chairman, Dr. Iyorchia Ayu, shortly after Abubakar won the party's presidential ticket, claiming that both top positions cannot be held by northerners.
Now, over the weekend, the G5 governors, alongside some aggrieved party stalwarts, took their grievances followed by announcing the formation of what they called an integrity group within the party on Sunday. It is believed that the strategic meeting held in Lagos by the governors and aggrieved party leaders may not have been unconnected to the agitation for Ayu's removal. PDP leaders at the meeting were former governors of Ondo State, Olusegun Mimiko, Ayodele Fayose of Ekiti State, Cross Rivers Governor Donald Duke, Jonah Jang of Plateau State, and former Deputy National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Chief Bode George. And now joining us to discuss all this, we have Bibi-Farouk, a political economist from Abuja, Nigeria. We also have Bayo Olusanya, Associate Counsel, joining us from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on The Conversation.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so I'll begin with you, Mr. Farouk. Now, when the Oyo State governor, I'm sure you saw the clips there. You saw the videos of the 5 governors all dressed in white and another head tie. Now, they said, Oyo State governor said, the integrity group remained the face behind the struggle within the PDP. Now, what did he mean by that, the face behind the struggle within the PDP?
Well, I think what he's trying to say is there is a group within the PDP that will ensure it sabotages the PDP and denies it any opportunity to make the presidency. And that is all. And their major grounds is because they could not present a presidential candidate of their choice. And the democratic process cannot be faltered, in which Atiku Abubakar came in to become the candidate. And so they want to repeat the 2015 scenario of the PDP, where some governors, including Atiku Abubakar, mobilized against the party, but in that instance joined the opposition party and were able to overturn the PDP victory of President Jonathan, to make Buhari possible. So one can just say that it's sort of history repeating itself. or that there is some form of nemesis now in the PDP, having been formed actually with the major ideology of just removing the military from power and now not having any serious ideology to contend with, is going into self-destruct. The 5 governors, whatever they are doing together with their colleagues, are just doing what I call kamikaze politics. They want to use themselves to destroy the mothership, and everybody finds this lovely.
Now, Farouk, a house divided cannot stand on its own. The PDP party leaders have repeatedly maintained that the present party chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, must resign for the sake of fairness and justice. He did say this himself, that if a northerner emerged in the primaries, he will resign. But it seems he's not fulfilling his promise. And you have a presidential candidate in Atiku Abubakar, a Democrat, and someone that is an experienced politician. How do you allow your party to self-implode because you don't want to sacrifice the national chairman? And is there still time? The elections are a few months away. You have governors are party heavyweights, and former governors too, forming a rival group within your party. Is there still time for Ayu to yield to the demands, or do you think Mr. Atiku Abubakar is just is not one that is open to negotiations?
Well, first point of correction is I am not in the PDP anymore. I was a member of the National Working Committee of the PDP. I was a national youth leader some almost 20 years ago. But right now, I am part of the group that left the PDP to form the NNPP, or to join the NNPP and start a new movement, foreseeing that this kind of contradictions might not be able to allow PDP to survive more than a year ago. So I'm not part of the PDP. But what I'll tell you is that there is no business between the resignation of Ayu and the position of the 5 governors. They are just using it as a cover-up. The main contention is there was a plan. It was well carved out for the last 4 years to make sure that, one, a southerner emerged as the PDP candidate. A PDP that was actually in opposition did not have a lot of northern governors or northern stalwarts to sustain it. And so the southern governors got together with opposition governors and made a statement at one time, I think in Delta State and later in Lagos State, that power must shift to the south. That has been an inbuilt PDP thing, because the PDP, as much as I know it, had never come to terms with the fact that it should choose a leader that is capable, or the most effective leader for the country. The internal workings of the PDP had always been to make sure that power is rotated and divided for the purpose of just gaining what they can gain. The ideology of the PDP was lost after the military, and there was no development ideology moving the PDP. The only thing moving the PDP was that power would come to some people at a particular point in time, and they will divide it the way and manner they will get into the treasury and use it for their own purposes. There has not been any major blueprint that the PDP ran on, major ideology the PDP ran on, until now it is beginning to find it fit. So the 5 governors had planned this, and they did a good calculation, got consultants to show them that if elections were to hold, the number of governors they had in the south, together with the middle belt supporters they have, would be able to give them majority if they bring in delegates from among the governors, the commissioners, the members of the National Assembly and the state assemblies. There was no way a northern candidate could win election, since they were willing to play the north-south game. But unfortunately for them, the National Assembly made a mistake, and they did not involve this set of delegates in the Electoral Act. And so the delegates that emerged were the 3 from every local government, and that upturned the plan. So Ayu had made his pledge, because Ayu was created by these governors, fully knowing that he would continue, because as at that time, it was not going to be possible to create a northern candidate. That is the whole thing. But unfortunately for them, a northern candidate emerged. Unfortunately for Ayu, a northern candidate emerged. So he didn't really mean to leave, but he was going along with them. But having lost, Ayu did not want to lose his position as chairman. And his position as chairman and that of Atiku are exclusively different. If Ayu said he was going to resign as chairman and he refused to resign as chairman, that does not give the governors the right to insist that they would not support Atiku because of Ayu. They are exclusively two different individuals holding different offices. Atiku has an office that will hold for just the next 3 months or 4 months. If he wins election, he takes the office of the president, which is leader of the party. Ayu has a 4-year term. The constitution of the party, which they insisted must have a kind of transition where they felt a southerner must continue if a southerner was a party chairman, no matter what happened, because Obasanjo was good at removing chairmen at that time, and a northerner must continue if it was a northern chairman, is now the albatross. Because if they remove Ayu, they cannot constitutionally create a southern candidate. They will have to create a deputy chairman who is a northerner. The deputy chairman who is a northerner must take over according to the constitutional provisions. And if that deputy chairman leaves, another deputy chairman who is a northerner will continue to take over, unless there is an agreement to go for a convention, which is impossible, and there is no need for that. It's the chairman and the neck that can call for a convention. I don't think they have any reason to do that. So what is going to happen is the 5 governors will do their best to make sure the party loses, and the party will do its best to make sure it's win. And we can see that all of them are already going to the trenches. They are beginning to find negotiations not viable. We can see that the Atiku group has gone along and the 5 governors are going along. So it will change the dynamics of politics as we would see it. Maybe it will return to the MPN, UPN, NMPP days. I think so.
All right, Farouk, you've said a whole lot. Now, I want to bring in Bayo into all this. Now, Farouk has mentioned, or rather for Ayu, he has a 4-year mandate. We have the G5 governors who have called themselves the Integrity Group of the PDP, which, according to people, now it's more like walking against the People's Democratic Party. We have the 2023 elections just around the corner. It's just February. And then we have these G5 members still demanding that Iyorchia Ayu should resign and allow for a southern chairman of the party, since the party's candidate is from the northern part, which is Atiku Abubakar. I mean, looking at the constitution of the party, I mean, the ideologies of the party, and the fact that this party has called themselves, rather, this group has called themselves the G5 Integrity Group, how is it going to work alongside the party, or is it going to be working outside the party?
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure. I want to quickly make reference to the constitution of the party that you mentioned, and I can vividly recall the presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku.
Okay, Bayo, to allow us clearly hear what you're saying, kindly remove your earpiece so that we can get your audio clearly, please.
So, as I was saying, can you hear me?
Yes, wonderful, thank you. Go on, please.
I want to make reference to the constitution of the People's Democratic Party, the constitution, and I want to say it in consonance with the response of the presidential candidate of the party, the person of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who responded, who said that for them to remove the incumbent chairman of the party, then it means that the constitution must be amended. The constitution must be amended. And I'm going straight to the provision of the constitution with regards to section 66, sub 1 of the constitution, the People's Democratic Party constitution. The constitution provides thus that the party shall have the power to amend this constitution, save that no amendment of the constitution shall be valid unless made by motion passed by 2 majority of the members present and voting at the National Convention. And I can recall that the erstwhile speaker mentioned the issue of the convention. If the People's Democratic Party were to convene a convention in order to meet the demands of the G5 at this very moment in removing the chairman of the party, that would practically be impossible. Now look at subsection 2 of that section 66. Subsection 2 provides thus. He said the notice of the proposed amendment to the Constitution shall be given to the National Secretary at least 2 months before the date of the National Convention. And the notice, which shall be in writing, shall contain a clear statement of the amendment sought and the reasons for the amendment. Now, we are in November already, towards the end of the November. The election we're talking about is coming up February 25 next year. So for the PDP to convene such convention and carry out the demands of this G5 is practically impossible. It's practically impossible. So I will speak from the legal perspective that as much as possible, the elders of this party should call the people involved into order. They should be called into order, bury the hatchet, look for the greatest good of the greatest interest of the party in order for them to be able to mount a serious opposition against the present ruling party. So in the absence of that, I don't see how the agitation of the G5 can sail through.
Okay, now, Bayo, still looking at this, I mean, you said that for the party to hold the convention is more or less like not possible, saying that elections will be in February. Now, is it possible that if this G5 is causing so much headache to the People's Democratic Party, that the party might consider sacking these G5 members, or are they so much of a stronghold in the People's Democratic Party?
Yeah, the Constitution is clear. The provision of the Constitution is clear. I agree with the fact that, yes, they are strongholds in the party. This G5 led by Wike is a stronghold in the party. We all know the role they played during the election of Seyi Makinde in Oyo State. We know how financially involved they have been and how much the impact they have made to the advancement of the goals and objective of the party. Now, let me go back to the Constitution again that talks about sanction. Yeah, it is possible for them to be sacked. It is possible for them to be removed. It's possible for them to be suspended. It's possible for them to be disbarred from holding any party office, provided they are holding one. Now, Section 58, sub 1 of the Constitution talks about sanction. I'm talking about the Constitution of the People's Democratic Party. It talks about sanction. Section 59, sub 1. It says any member of the party who commits any of the offenses listed in section, there are some offenses that are listed in the section before this section, which offenses include that anybody involved in factionalism, anybody carrying out any anti-party activity, and the rest of them like that. So the offenses, the sanctions that are available for them are as in a reprimand. They can have a censure, there can be a fine, there can be a suspension, there can be disbarment from holding any public office, there can be removal from office, and there can even be expulsion from the party completely. So the People's Democratic Party, in order for them to salvage their future with regards to the election next year, needs to do the needful. And that must be done as soon as possible because time is of essence. The election is just some days away, to be sincere. So they need to do the needful. Thank you.
I'd like to bring in Farouk at this point. So we've established the fact that these G5 governors are clearly doing anti-party activities. We violate the constitution of the PDP, and it looks like because of their status, disciplinary measures might not be taken against them. We also have a situation where we've established the fact that the process it will take to call a convention to remove the national chairman, which is the demand of the G5, it's virtually impossible because elections are just around the corner. So if you were in the shoes of the PDP presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, what options does he have? Because his party is self-imploded. He's invested a lot in this. He's been contested to be president for a long time. What can he do? Do you think the steps he can take to appease his G5 governors without the removal of Iyorchia Ayu, which is virtually impossible? And you said, you know what, this is just an excuse that the G5 governors are not happy he emerged as the presidential candidate.
Sadly for Atiku Abubakar, I think the chickens are coming home to roost because he led a similar rebellion in 2015. I was part of that rebellion, to be honest. And I know that at the end of it, the splinter group gets nothing. But I think something we should take note of is the transmission of G5 into integrity group. It is not for incidents. It is a plan to determine a faction within the PDP so that constitutionally their members can contest elections, win elections, and at the end of the elections be part of a faction of the PDP that can merge with some group that they are talking to or some other party that they are talking to, maybe the NMPP, maybe the Labour Party, and probably opt out of the PDP after the elections. Because apart from Makinde, none of them is really has so much stake. Those that have stake would this provision of an integrity group would be able to still contest under the PDP in spite of any sanctions, because the Constitution allows factions in the parties, and when there are factions in the parties, you can be able to decamp and cross carpet. And I think that is what they did in Lagos yesterday. So now they are planning probably to align with either the Labour Party or the NMPP, or they are not keen to go into the APC because the background of their politics, the support base of their politics is not only ethnic, but it is also religious. They are backed by the Middle Belt Forum, the Niger Delta Pandef thing, the Ohanese, and those people would not want a Muslim ticket of the APC. And that's probably the only reason why they have not taken a dive into the APC all along. So as far as I think what they are planning, they are doing, and I think Atiku would just have no option together with this group in the PDP, but to go along to fight the presidency with what is left of the PDP.
Now,
the PDP has been...
You're a member of the NMPP. Is your party looking at possible alliances and looking at what to gain from this? Because, I mean, it works in your favor as opposition that the PDP house is not in order. Are you exploring options?
We have projected these scenarios in our party almost for about a year or so, and most of them have fallen into place, apart from the fact that we probably thought Wike would have won the ticket, actually. But we looked at the situation, and we believe any new emerging bunch of younger people with new ideas and demands would make a better impact in the present political setup than the two parties that we helped formed but lost because of ideological differences. You see, PDP was formed and everybody was asked to come together despite your background ideology just to get the military out. APC was formed when PDP refused to go by its tenets of accepting a zoning arrangement under Jonathan, and the idea was to get PDP out of the way. That was what brought APC. Today, APC has misperformed. It has terribly done too bad that nobody serious would want to throw his cap into the APC. So I think the Labour Party and the NMPP have good opportunities, and those who are opting out of this, the PDP, who were members of the PDP, like I told you, NMPP moved out from PDP. Labour Party, that's Obi moved out from PDP. Now there is a similar implosion within the PDP. So what remains with the PDP will still go and fight the election. It will be formidable, but it will just be one of the formidable four groups that will be dominant in the 23 elections. And nobody would be sure which one of them can become the first and the second. And it is very likely that none of them would dominate the elections to get a landslide, and there might be a runoff.
Okay, Farouk, I'll get back to you in a moment, but I want to bring in Bayo into all this. Now, still looking at the party affairs, Wike has come out quite boastfully saying, rather laying allegations against the party chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, about 1 billion naira bribes that he collected from a party member. Now, we know that these are just allegations, but looking at constitutions of the party, ideologies of the party, shouldn't there be proper investigations of these allegations, or would they just be swept under the carpet and we focus on the fact that Iyorchia Ayu is from the northern side, and the G5 members or the integrity members just want a southern chairman since the party's candidate is a northerner?
Much. Like I was saying, I also make reference to the constitution of the party. Now, if you look at section 59 sub 1, section 59 sub 1, it talks about offenses and sanctions. Offenses and sanctions. And these offenses is with regards to the members and the national officers. Now, to the best of my knowledge, it would have been the proper thing to do to seek redress against the national chairman if allegations were true, because I also read in the dailies Governor Wike giving him a challenge that if he thinks all these facts he was alleging were false, he can bring a case against him. I read it in national dailies. So in this instance, I would have suggested, or I would have advised as a legal practitioner, that the G5, led by Governor Wike, would have followed the provisions of the Constitution. The party is People's Democratic Party. As a matter of fact, it's the oldest party that we have in this nation. And I would have expected even their members, their strong personalities, to be very ardent to the provision of the Constitution. If there is any allegation against any national officer, anybody occupying any position in the party, the provision of the Constitution is clear. You can bring up charges against the person, and such can be tried. And in the event that they are not pleased, in the event that they are not satisfied, there is an appeal. There is a forum for appeal, and these things can be done within the confines of the Constitution. And then probably we would not have found ourselves in this kind of situation that we find ourselves. But like I said earlier, there is still a way out. Mm-hmm. Now, I also recall Governor Wike making it open to the party that there is still room for reconciliation. So the party, in order to save their head, come 2023, must do the needful. Otherwise, they are just digging their own pit by themselves.
Thank you, Bayo. Now, Farouk, Bayo said there's still room for reconciliation. Just recently, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party was in Rivers State, and the governor of Rivers State, Chief Nyesom Wike, who belongs to the People's Democratic Party, brazenly said it was going to offer logistical support to a rival party. I mean, it clearly shows that room for reconciliation, that ship has sailed. Or do you think there's anything that can be done? Because Bayo seems to suggest that, there's still room for reconciliation. Wike might say it, but his body language is different. Is there still something party elders or Alhaji Atiku Abubakar can do to save his campaign and bring back this group to the fore of the party?
Well, Central TV, you would ask me to make some propositions that I would.
Hello, Farouk, are you there? I think I have an idea of what you are saying.
I think he doesn't want to be caught in the middle.
No, he belongs to a rival party, so he's not going to give them expo on how they will fix their help. So it's not.
Okay, Farouk, if you would answer this question now, I mean, you talked about earlier, or you mentioned that powers must shift to the south. You were a former member of the People's Democratic Party, and I don't know if you would like to give us more insight on this, because we see just the face of these G5 governors. But in the meeting, we saw that another leader of the party, Chief Bode George, was also at the meeting. So how popular is this southerner agenda among the People's Democratic Party?
Okay,
Farouk, can you hear us?
Oh.
We seem to have a connection problem with Farouk. So I guess we'll...
Well, I think I'm back.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and respond, please.
Yes, I think to the best of my knowledge, politics is about interests. And I think Wike is wielding so much influence, and so his interest is supreme in the G5. The first issue is he has lost the presidential slot. He went for a second interest of having the vice presidential slot. That too, he lost to Okowa. If there is anything that could appease Wike, might be Minister of Justice, so that he could wheel away the EFCC when they come after him after they have won elections. That might be the last stand that Wike could accept. But the whole idea of Ayu is just a decoy. It's about the interest of these people, especially Wike, and the fact that he has lost the opportunity to get the presidential ticket, to get the vice presidential slot, and now feels he has lost relevance in the party, which he feels bitter about and sore about, because he feels he has committed so much resources and time to the party. Unfortunately, that is the opinion for him. But those of us that were at the early beginning of this party, when he was fighting to be a local government councillor and chairman, some of the people who financed this party never got a position in the party. Some of them went to jail or came out from jail to form this party, Ekweme and so on, Abubakar Rimi, who I came into the party with, and so many others I can mention, never got opportunities to even make a headway in the party. Like I told you, they came out from jail. Sulalamido and Rimi and so on were jailed by Abacha, and it was in jail that the idea of forming the PDP itself was conceived. And so I can say that, yes, he has a right to feel so, but it is not, he's not getting the worst hand of the stick of the party. He has been a local government chairman, he has been a chief of staff, he has been a minister, he has been a governor. And that he didn't get presidency or vice presidency, it's something I find a bit he's too, I don't want to use some other words, but the result effect of this kind of attitude is always irrelevance and insignificance after the action has been taken. If he succeeds in making the PDP fail the elections, which is very likely, then he would still have no admission in any group or party. I have seen this live. He would not have the relevance he expects in any party. And he might have this alliance of the Labour Party, which is what I heard as of this morning is the most cogent position they are taking, going with the Labour Party, but sticking to contest in the PDP, and then joining the Labour Party after elections have been declared to form either a government or an opposition platform. Well, they will still not find the soulmates they have in the PDP in these arrangements that they see in the Labour Party, unfortunately. But politics is our interest, and some people can forgo their interest, while others would rather, like I said, do a kamikaze thing. The person I pity most is Makinde, who I think is going along with the run and might lose his gubernatorial seat, which will be the worst loss among them, because the environment he has does not permit him to be going into factions.
All right, thank you so much, Farouk. We, of course, there are a lot of things that will evolve in the PDP as Nigeria gets towards the 2023 elections. Also, a very big thank you to Bayo Olusanya for joining us on this conversation. And just like you said, the PDP better get his house together if they have any chances for the 2023 elections. Thank you so much,
Thank you, gentlemen.